right? Otherwise, why would they continue to do it? And so that's one of the reasons why we don't have any rules. Literally, we're decentralized, and the joke is we set up a new one, and 90% of the time they'll send an email saying, hey, we're having our first meetup next week. Is it okay if we do ABC? And we write back, yes, you can do ABC. The only thing you can't do is write us an email asking if you can do ABC. What part of decentralized did you not understand? And I think part of the reason why it's pretty successful. Well, in other words, they just want to make sure that they can, put a sign up, or that they can have a speaker for an hour. Whatever it is, because when we tell them we're decentralized, but it's hard for people to really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like sometimes in Miami, we can also be in a bubble, so to speak, because people are coming to visit us throughout the year. I guess especially during the winter times. But the recent visits we've gotten from organizers from other cities, I realize that sometimes we're putting a lot more pressure on ourselves as organizers or as just community members than we need to. They're expecting a lot less from us than I realized. But I guess it's good to have high standards per se. But it was an eye-opening. To give you one example, down here, if you go to a Bitcoin event, the people there expect to hear just about Bitcoin. If you hear about Ethereum, they get really mad, right? It's not just crypto, right? I host the Miami Science Fiction Film Festival. And if you come to my film festival and you see something that you don't consider sci-fi, I mean, it's not just annoying. It's actually and it depends how you define it. Some people define as fantasy as sci-fi, but they don't, right? So if they see fantasy as sci-fi film festival, that's something that they really don't want to see there. So we take that seriously, but then other cities don't, right? So literally they're mixing and matching Bitcoin with Ethereum and other things too, and they thought it was totally fine. It's refreshing in a way, I guess. So you don't have to. It's fine. But so just so maybe our Canadian guests here, what's it like in Canada, and what are you gonna take back with you, unless you just got here to Canada, but you looked at Miami per se?
I'm more of a snowbird, so I'm here for winter. But in Canada, especially in Calgary, crypto isn't that big yet. It's actually a lot slower. But however, when you go to Toronto, it's a lot more. There's a lot more companies that are more accepting it. Also Montreal stuff too, but not as much as Miami. Not as much as it is in the U.S. or in the U.K. But I think slowly. And part of the reason is, our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speaks against crypto a lot, putting in media. But regardless of that, Ethereum is still a Canadian company, so it still has a community there. People are still, especially in the Toronto area, they have these meetups and stuff too. It's slower for sure than other areas. That's why when I said regulations will pick up, and then I kind of stopped with Canada, because I'm not really sure what direction we're going to be heading. But you might have a different.
You got to tokenize the rodeo.
Calgary rodeo.
The Stampede.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very oil and gas there. Right?
That'd be a good idea to tokenize the Calgary rodeo. They'd make a killing. The world knows about it.
We got a bunch of rodeos here in South Florida.
Oh yeah.
But one of the things you mentioned, Cole, earlier when you're introducing your project was that you're regulated in Canada by some Canadian agencies. But you literally made it part of your introduction to your project. This is earlier before we started filming, and I felt that was interesting because so many projects, in the U.S. at least, or in Miami, the regulation is a necessary evil. It's not a feature per se. But do you feel like regulation is a feature for your
good question. I am pro I think regulation is a good thing for crypto because it's going to attract the more institutional investors. We already have institutional investors, right? And institutional investors, those are the people that, like Grayscale, but there's a lot of companies like that we want to be in crypto because that's what is going to bring the liquidity in crypto further into the trillions. We've already made it into the trillion, but we want all of us here, if you're in crypto, we want the liquidity in crypto to go up to multiple trillions. And for that to happen, we're going to need more institutional investors. And I think that the more regulation there is, the more attracted they will be to it, because they don't want to touch stuff that's not regulated. I can't speak for all of them, but some of them do not want to. And I know that like when you have regulation, it's not as private and stuff, but at least up to now, I'm pretty happy with the amount of regulation that is in it, because I still feel like I have a lot of freedom with how I claim my taxes, my crypto taxes. Like I claimed my crypto taxes last year. I teach people how to do it as well. I show people that I do it and stuff, right? I'm not a tax advisor, but I show people that I do it for myself and show them the proper channels to go through. So I think regulation's a good thing for crypto. Yeah, I do. Yeah, but I mean, if you're trying to do things that are not fully legal, then you would not want regulation. But yeah. If we didn't need regulation to attract more institutional investors, then I probably wouldn't care as much about it. Yeah. If that kind of answers the question.
From that, I moved here from San Francisco to Miami, and I was going back and forth. And about a year ago, through actually Diana, I don't know if she's not here yet, but I was at an event, and she's like, hey, she's like, meet this, you got to talk to this person. And I was like, oh no. And it was the mom of Ross Ulrich, the founder of Silk Road in San Francisco. Because because Silk Road is there, it creates such a stigma that crypto is like illegal and bad. And I've literally, I had my friends, she's an artist. She's like, I hate NFTs. I've had people like yell at me drunk. They're like, this stuff's so stupid. But I come to Miami and everyone's like, yeah, okay, cool, like interesting. And it was much more, it reminded me of innovation and the time when people are much more open-minded. And that's what I think Miami really has that here. And I think San Francisco is still, it's open and there are pockets of it and people are really believers, but it kind of hadn't caught fire yet. Whereas I think in Miami, everyone's like, yeah, okay, they're more open-minded to like, how is this useful? How is it gonna be beneficial? And open to it. And so I'll add to that. I think Miami really has that belief as an international crypto capital, and that's why I moved here. It's awesome.
That's why I've been considering moving here, is for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Because when I compare it to like what she was saying about Canadian in Canada, how it is, it's way more scarce. Like in Whistler, where I live, like there's almost no. I feel like I'm the only one there that knows about it. Yeah. Right? I mean, Vancouver doesn't have that many people either, but I would say I love Miami for how easy it is to network with so many like-minded individuals. Yeah.
I still have people asking me what's an NFT in Calgary. Even after like all of this news coverage, no one really knows. Like, yeah, Canada's definitely a little more slower.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to everyone here because, like I said earlier, sometimes we can be in our own bubble, our own echo chamber. So I think like a lot of people that we've been meeting throughout this year, they're more of a libertarian mindset. And Art, the camera guy, he likes to joke about all the Germans we meet. They love rules, right? He's never met a German that doesn't love a rule. Anyways, yeah, I guess So I guess there's even within the crypto community, there's different nuances. Cultures. It's good to meet some other perspectives. So Dan, I know you have a lot to say on the point of view of regulation and libertarianism, things like that. But
I've seen you speak before.
Yeah, maybe
At a place like this with a train coming by. Wasn't that you?
Yeah, it was a few minutes ago. Yeah.
Or a few months
That was
ago.
at
It was a Bitcoin meetup.
Bitcoin, the place that the
It was like
I forgot the name of it. I know what you're talking about.
And it was a little outdoor of multiple restaurants, just
Yeah.
like this.
Ironsides. Ironsides,
You were
yeah.
speaking there.
Okay. Interesting.
Dan,
You-
the question-
yeah,
the question- the
I remember
next
that.
topic is so with SBF, like Sam Bankman-Fried, and what happened in 2022. I guess that's the elephant in the room right now. What's going to happen on the regulatory front for our industry in 2023?
Yeah, sure. Sure, yeah. Not a legal expert at all, but I guess I could give my perspective. So, what I tell myself and what I tend to, thought is that essentially, at least on the regulatory side, thanks to people like SBF, things were probably going to be really easy on us, But thanks to that situation, I think there's a lot of, a lot more uncertainty and in general distrust that I think it left a lot of a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. So I think moving forward, it's kind of like in my opinion, it's kind of up in the air. I think what should happen is I think that there should be people who are bipartisan and even, in my opinion, even left-leaning, because a lot of people in this industry tend to be right-leaning. I think that there needs to be more advocates on that side, especially from the regulatory side to standpoint to, make it, I think, feasible. So I think what needs to happen is there needs to be bipartisan support for thought leaders and figureheads to basically consult the regulatory landscape to make sure there's a mutually beneficial situation for both the current industry and regulators and governments, not just our government but around the world. So I think I think dialogue needs to happen. Oftentimes poor regulation is propped up due to ignorance. And I think there still has to be a real effort to educate folks in government. So I think organizations like Government Blockchain Association, those type of organizations are really being the vanguard and pushing the narrative forward. So yeah, all I can say is bipartisan support from all sides I think is really necessary. Because obviously there's people, again, on both sides of the political spectrum that are also very uncertain and distasteful toward this industry at large. So just to cap the tangent, that's pretty much my perspective currently. Yeah.
I have something to add. I think a very important case is going to be Ripple versus SEC. Because Gary Gensler, he wants to push for crypto is a security, right? Like if that happens, what's going to happen to all these companies? So I think that's one case that we really need to pay attention to, which is going to reach a verdict in like June, I guess, next year, right? Is our cryptocurrency is really a security, and what makes Bitcoin a commodity? That's going to be a huge question. And who's going to regulate it? Is it the SEC or is it going to be the CFTC? So I think those are the two main agencies that we're going to have to look out for, because they're going to make the ultimate decision. So that's my the security thing is huge for me, right?
Can I make a point on that? So regarding the XRP case, they have come out and said they've acknowledged Bitcoin as a commodity and not a security. It's all about the Howey test. Everyone knows what that is. We do not want Bitcoin to pass the Howey test. Anything that passes the Howey test, that just means that it is a security. We don't, well, at least I don't want Bitcoin to be a security. We don't want that, right? If other cryptocurrency companies, altcoin companies, if they become securities, I'm okay with that, but we don't. But Bitcoin is classified now as a commodity. I hope it doesn't change in the future, but yeah.
Sorry, what are the characteristics of Bitcoin that makes it a commodity and not a security? Is it because of the scarcity? Because it's like gold, right? Gold is scarce, so it's valued more. Is that something?
There's a third choice. It could be a currency as well. Security, commodity, or currency, or
there's no how should I say? There's no governing authority, basically. It is what it is.
No one's promising anything. No one's promising the return.
Nobody can, stick their finger in it.
If there's any Bitcoin maxis here, they tell you it's actually only money. The Bitcoin standard, right? They say 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. There's not even a conversion to fiat. So it's like, it's not like gold per se. That's what a max is. But let's talk to Chris. So Chris, you speak to a lot of local businesses and local government officials, so to speak. Alex does for his other businesses as well. So what's your prediction about how local municipalities, local business owners are going to feel the impact of regulation or lack thereof in 2023?
Well, I guess it's like how you said, there's currencies that we're going to use here as currencies, and there's utility features here. There's the securities versus commodities, all that. And I just think this is the new way forward. So all those existing things are going to continue now in crypto, and yeah, there's going to be little umbrellas for each, and that's going to get more defined now. But we already have rules for securities, and we already have rules for commodities, and we already have rules on, gift cards and tokens. Chuck E. Cheese has been around for a long time. So if businesses want to accept tokens to represent the currency that happens in their ecosystem, that's really the way forward in what we're doing.
So I think we're gonna start wrapping it up. So if anyone wants to like talk about their projects or what they plan to work on for 2023, get us all hyped up. We'll come back to you this time next year and see how your project's going. I mean, it's a time for you to be accountable to the community, so to speak, right? We have you on video. We're gonna ask you about how that one pet giraffe is going. I think your friend does NFT giraffes or something.
Grateful giraffes.
So we'll talk about that. So what's your goals for 2023 in terms of in the NFT space? So I know your friend does the giraffes, or also was that a past project or?
Grateful giraffes.
She just told me she invested about a month ago. And I was hoping she was going to come here tonight.
Well, we'll start with Dan then. I know he does have a project that he's got big hopes for 2023.
Yeah. So, Peter,
what's your goal for 2023 in terms of NFTs or your crypto projects?
Oh yeah, definitely. So
Set
just
your intentions.
Sure. So yeah, for me specifically, I've been focusing on launching our startup for the past few months now. And yeah, like moving forward in 2023, really looking forward on, completing and fulfilling the vision of the platform and, onboarding more users, iterating and, just making a platform that people want to use. So, so I'm going to be focusing on, for the most part in 2023 and I hope so. It's obviously, we have a great community down here. We do a lot of different, there's a lot of points of collaboration. A lot of people work with each other on different projects, different DAOs. So, on that secondary level, really looking forward to, seeing you guys next year and, continuing doing some great things down here. So.
Yeah, and Dan didn't mention that he's the heart and soul of the Blockchain Center. So yeah, thanks to Dan for bringing me on board as well. So who wants to go next?
I'll go. Okay. I want to see what I really loved is the NFTs, the artists that I saw, like Gabe Weiss, Savet, Eddie Gangland is a local artist here, but I've met Gabe Weiss several times, and I knew of him before in the Bay Area, and he was an amazing artist. But you're just doing these like small art shows, and you're like, oh cool, I sold him for 500, and then seeing him sell his stuff as NFTs and getting his art globally recognized is amazing. And I feel like it's almost like the salon of like the French Impressionists back in the late 1800s. That's these new NFT artists. But I want to see more the utility, the money, bringing money back to the artists, and then music too. That's where I think NFTs can really start to bring that back, and it's like, or bring the artist creating the provenance of the NFT, so they get the residuals, and that's what I love with the artists get 10% every time it resells. That's the thing, you sell it for $500 once, and then suddenly it sells for 10 grand, and you're like, oh yeah, nice to know, but I don't get anything from that. And so that's what I love. I want to see more and more of that, where like the blockchain keeps that provenance and keeps the source of the creator, that they get that continuous residual money and doesn't just go to those middlemen, just content distribution companies as we see it today.
Next. All right, well, thank you everybody for this final NFThursday of the year.
Well, no, we can't do without Lou. He's like, he almost got away without saying his final.
Without what?
You got to say what's your intentions, your goals for 2023.
Well, the biggest project we're working on, as I mentioned, is called the Crypto Oracle Collective. We're a decentralized Web3 advisory service. And the problem that we're trying to solve is there are a lot of people who want to come and work in Web3, and there are a lot of great projects who want to hire them, but a lot of the projects want to pay in illiquid tokens or equity, and people have rent to pay and they get hungry sometimes. So the idea of the collective is we take $100 of illiquid stuff, we put it in our treasury, and we mint $80 of liquid stuff. And we own the treasury, right? Nobody at the start, we own 100% of the treasury, so we're just giving it to ourselves. Over time, as people sell the tokens, investors, for providing liquidity, will get to participate in that 20%. But hopefully, we think we can be the biggest employer in Web3 in a short time and really bring a lot more people in. So it's super exciting.
And our host for the final word.
Can I say one thing? So at our VC fund, we actually launched a podcast called Deal Flow. So if anyone ever wants to be a guest, I'm actually hosting it. So I would love to have you guys on. And if you guys ever want more exposure to like the VC world, reach out to me.
Oh yeah, definitely. Make your prediction, man.
Oh, I don't know. I was like asking the experts. No
Yeah, I
one
know.
said-
Yeah,
said anything.
you're right. Yeah, how come you guys are? You're right. You guys have to make one person makes a prediction, and then you'll speak for the whole room here.
I can say what I think based on the studies I've been doing. Is
No, not your studies, your personal opinion.
yeah, for sure.
Don't regurgitate.
Yeah. Based on well, I think we're gonna we might have another bear market rally. I think, which is it's not going to be another bull market until the next halving. I think, but because interest rates, Jerome Powell with interest rates is only doing he did 0.5%.
Yeah, give us a number, like 2 million, 1 million.
Like what Bitcoin's going to be?
Yeah, what's Bitcoin?
Oh, I think Bitcoin's going to be worth $1 million per coin in the future. I'm very confident about that. 2023. I think it's going to be. I think maybe like it'll go down to 13 or 12K probably, and then probably be stagnant around 11 to 14, 11 to 15 throughout the year maybe, because interest rates are going to keep going up with Jerome Powell. So, but and then 2024 is when I see Bitcoin go back up. The end of 2024, I see the bull run happening because the halving event on March 2024, the Bitcoin halving event is going to be the start of the next bull cycle, is what I think.
I agree with
that. The one thing you did there is you put a year in. If you didn't put the year in, we could have just edited it out and just say eventually it wasn't right. We could have said yeah.
4 years from now.
It's gotta be 2024.
So who's predicting for the longest time? Because when
But I used to be an equity analyst on Wall Street.
Oh, really?
And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and
he's the one who should have been.
I left in
or the trader.
January of 2000. Since then, I've put out 2 price targets. One in March of 2010, I opened up a Tumblr and I wrote a Wall Street Journal research report on a company called Facebook, and that worked out well. And the
I've
other
heard of
one
those guys.
I've been the first person to call Mark and offer to buy the company. The second one was Bitcoin. Last January, I put a 10-year price target of $1 million, and that's based on gold. Today is a $10 trillion asset, round numbers, and as a store of value. And now we have a much better store of value. Whenever you get a much better version of something, people get a lot more of it, and the market grows dramatically. So that estimate, the $1 million figure, is based on gold store of value going from 10 trillion to 40 trillion, and Bitcoin getting half. And that's how you get 1 million Bitcoin.
Thank you for sharing.
I have a question for you and you, Chris. I know this is not Bitcoin, but it's kind of all interrelated. Where do you guys think the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Dow will be at the end of 2023?
On the blockchain.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have a 10-year price target because everybody will forget by then anyways. That's why you never want to go out just 1 year. People will throw it in your face.
Yeah.
Great, Chris.
All right, well, thank you everybody for coming for this final NF Thursday of the year. This is now year 2 of NF Thursday. Every Thursday here in Miami, we get together and have a nice discussion about, you know, what we're doing.
Great.
Yay!